Grace and peace, and welcome to the Wise Perspective. I'm your girl Wise. Here with another podcast episode. I don't know, before I got started with this podcast episode, I don't know, I was in my mind just a bit about it because I always say, thank you for being here. Not for me, but for you to ignite your transformation within yourself, right? But I never explain why. Listening to this particular podcast is going to ignite transformation. And I guess it was for me to think about so that I could go into that before I start at this episode. So the one thing that ignites transformation in us all is looking at things from a higher perspective, a wise perspective, right? Because knowledge is absolutely worthless if it doesn't transform into wisdom. That should be the goal, to get to wisdom, to become wise. So when you are looking at things from an elevated perspective, you are in a way doing that. You are taking a stance at realizing that if you just look at things very surface level, very superficial, you miss a lot. So in order to fully submerge yourself in the value of the information that you are retaining, you must transform it into wisdom. And you can only do that through two things. One, viewing things from that elevated, i.e. wise perspective, so that it's outside of just the simplicity of what you can see, taste, feel. It's now elevated. It's not a now type of situation, it's an overall situation. But the second thing is for you to prioritize that process, because you have to want that. It's easy to hear something and keep it surface. It's easy to hear someone say, good morning, and you reply, good morning back. It takes an elevated perspective for you to realize that the word morning has a meaning. Is that what you want to be saying, want to be putting out energetically? Is there something better that could be said that actually means what you want to say to them? Are you saying that only today is good? Are you saying that what's good about it is the waking up? Like, there's so much you can put into that. And until you fully do that, it remains surface. It just remains knowledge. It remains basic. So I wanted to go into that, I guess, before I got started on this topic at hand. Again, thanking you for being here, for choosing to elevate, for choosing to prioritize transforming into your higher self. So thank you. Now I'm going to get into this episode because it's actually later than I normally shoot. I normally try to shoot my podcast episodes before noon. That's usually when it comes to me. Today was very different. I got a lot done today. And it was because I prioritized doing those things. And I'm probably going to put up a post about that because really it feels like lately I've taken a stance of hunting for all of the ideologies and sayings that the Lord put out for us to gather and state which ones I live by now and what it healed me from, the ones that it took the place of. So I'm probably going to put up a post, a quick little post about that, because that made a lot for me today, like to really realize, like, one saying is we all have 24 hours in a day. And when I sat with that saying, I realized the reason why it's important for you to really look at that is because it only matters what you choose to do with yours. That's the difference between us all. It is the same for everyone, except for what you choose to do with your 24 hours. And there's a lot of us who live by standards because of what we have to do, not what we choose to do, not what we want to do, or we don't realize that it is a choice. We think that, oh, I have no choice, I have to go to work. No, that's a choice. How you spend your time is a choice. So when we really accept that there's nothing in this world that makes us do anything, not even God. God doesn't make us follow him. He does not. It is a choice. He leaves it to you. When you look at a choice being something that is in your hands, and sometimes we just give up that power to make it, it'll put a lot of things on your plate that you need to sort through and recognize there's a lot that you participate in that you don't want to do. You just do it because you feel like you have no choice, but you do. When we get to choices, earlier I had to have a conversation with someone who has become a really close friend of mine, and it was about choices. She needed to start making choices for herself when it came to her freedom and navigating into the life she wants to live. And I am all for that. But Lord knows, oh my gosh, you guys don't know. When it comes to freedom, when it comes to choosing to live as your authentic self and your genuine self, I am all for it. Because I live that way. But I know the power of living that way. And I know that certain people didn't have the ability to choose to live that way. Especially in youth. In youth, you have a whole lot less choices. So, to be able to live that way is a gift from God. That is a part of your peace. It comes as a gift upon birth. So, of course, I encourage that for her. But in order for her to have that feeling of freedom, that true feeling, she would need to move a few things around in her life that are stealing her time, that force her to have to make choices that she didn't necessarily want to make. Now, some of those will probably get her ostracized by those around her, simply because they don't subscribe to the same things. It will probably kick up emotions like shame and guilt, but it'll be momentary, because those who would make you feel guilty and shameful and try to create anxiety within you, these same people are the ones who will allow you to carry your heavy baggage, knowing that they could potentially take some of that weight. And it's important to recognize that too. Now, as I'm stating, we sat down and we discussed my role even in her life, because one thing I do not subscribe to is, in order to make someone else's life easier when it comes to their baggage, is taking their baggage. God does not subscribe to this at all. He is teach a man to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime, to help those as long as the assistance you are providing is not at your detriment. Because I'm an empath, I'm going to absorb the shock of what your life is taken on and transformed into. So there's only so much I can take, especially when the choice to be free is yours. A lot of those chains that are holding us back, that are keeping us bound to situations, are a choice still. You're choosing to be bound to them. And it's because of those emotions that you don't want to have to deal with, those feelings of guilt, shame, pushed out, being black sheep, all of that comes with it. But if anyone were to make you feel that way because you chose you, that means they were never for you. They never wanted to see you at your fullest, at your happiest. And if that's the case, they are oppressors. It is what it is. They are oppressors. So we were speaking about some of the upcoming choices that she's ready to make to find her freedom. And it felt great because I've had conversations like this where I've explained to someone what it's going to take for them to be free. And a lot of times when I'm explaining it, they will feel like I'm coming from a place of judgment, or I'm coming from a place of not understanding what they're carrying. And the truth is, neither of those are true. One, I had to free myself from my own limitations, my own chains. And honestly, most of the chains people are carrying, or at least the ones God brings me to, are carrying chains that I freed myself from. That's just how the Lord operates, actually. Like, when you have succeeded in conquering your own limitations, God sends you to those who needs you to help them see their own limitations the same way. Those same uncomfortable moments. And recognize that if I can be free, so can you. And God got you. Because that's really it. A lot of times it's a test of faith, a test of trust in the Lord. God can't show you what's there before you jump. He just promises that he's going to catch you. And he's made that promise to me so many times. I can't even pretend like I don't know that it's the case. But one thing I can definitely say is God has never let me fall. Never. He's always catched me every time he told me to jump. Now, the issue I see with others is that they've been let down so many times by mankind, so many times by people who are supposed to catch them or promised to, that their trust is shaky when it comes to man, which makes it even hard for them to trust God. God is not man. God had all his promises in the Bible, they came true. All of them. All of those promises apply to you too. Too many of us think that we are beneath the promise, that God can't give us what he's promised each and every person in his word. And it's not true. It is not true. And I'm living proof. And I push for this. I push for everyone to understand that I'm not more special than the next person. I am held by the Father. Many are called, few are chosen, and it's because the ones who are chosen to do the things the Lord has for them, they wear it as a badge of honor. These are the ones who are going to jump when he says jump. And it's not flawless. There's plenty of times God was like, jump, and I hesitated. Plenty of times where God said jump, and he told me to jump a few times, and I was like, listen, I'm not ready to jump there. But eventually, the Lord knows my heart. I'm going to jump. I'm going to jump. I can only go but so long without completely giving in to what the Lord said. I was built for it, and we all are. We all are. Life kind of beats it out of us just a little. It does. Life beats it out of us. But when you get back to your roots, when you start understanding yourself, you recognize that those choices belong to you. It's not that you can't jump. You can. You always have the option. It's the what ifs that play in your mind. It's the lack of faith that play in your mind. Those are the reasons why you stop. Because your brain runs on those things. instead of running on faith, running on trust. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. God's not going to show it to you first. He may show you in your mind. You may see a picture, and that's how you know that that's what you need to be doing. You need to jump. But he's not going to hand it to you before you do. So I find that I meet a lot of people where I have to teach them that the reason why they are stuck, the reason why they are where they are, is because they refuse to jump, and God is calling for them to jump. And even after I explain it to them, sometimes they still decide that they're not going to jump. And that is their God-given right. That's why he gave us free will. Knowing that you need to is enough for you to make the decision. A lot of times, that person who's being told that they need to jump, they're already unhappy where they are. So it's not like you're being told to jump and you are satisfied. You have dissatisfaction. The jump isn't for God. The jump is for yourself. He's requesting you jump to save you. If you are in a burning building but you are scared of heights and you on the 4th floor, you have 2 options. Burn or jump. And that's what we need to understand, is that if God is requiring you to jump, you taking the second option when you don't. And it's not consequences from God as if he's mad at you. He gave you free will. He's not mad that you used it. The consequence comes from the lack of taking the choice, lack of stepping into what you know you need versus what feels comfortable in the moment. And this is what we talk about, where knowledge transforms into wisdom, because you can only do that through uncomfortability, through change. Staying where you are can be very comfortable, but one thing that doesn't happen in comfort is growth. You cannot grow staying in the same place. The same way you can't expect a change doing the same things. I think I started this off by talking about some of the ideologies and words that the Lord put on this planet that I now live by, that I understand why they are here, the elevated purpose of those words. That's one of them, is embracing change, because that's the only consistent thing in the world. Everything changes. You change. Your body changes. Everything. Nothing stays the same. The weather's never the same. The day is never the same as it was last year. So when you embrace that change is a constant, and it's the one thing that is consistent, you recognize that when you change, that's exactly what life intended. That's what God intended for you to change. It's that change that allows you to get unstuck. So as I stated in the very beginning, yes, I had this conversation with a friend who I know is ready to take her leaps. And today, before I even started speaking to her, she was already saying she was ready. And it was so beautiful to see. I wonder sometimes if I would have had someone who understood the importance of the leaps of life, the changes in yourself in life, and taking back your ability to make the choices that you make, if they would have recognized that within me when I made my choices, because I was very much with the Lord in my choices. I know I was one of the first of these types of people, and it was my path to go first, my path to walk with just Jesus and make these choices for myself so that I can become a guide for those who need someone to show them. It would have, I think, been nice to have somebody be like, yes, this is what you need to do, go do it. But I would not trade my story in for anyone because I went through it holding the hand of the Lord. And I know not many people get to do that. The Lord is always with you, but it definitely hits different when you can hear the Lord, when you can feel the Lord around you physically. It aids in a very different type of change. But hey, if you know, you know. All right, so if you would like to schedule a consultation with me, you're on your path to ascension, your path to evolving into your higher self, and you're looking for a bit of guidance, you can definitely go ahead and book a one-on-one call with me. My Calendly link will be up right here. We can discuss any of the topics that are up here that you're seeing. Or you can just dive into what energetically is your path and where you need to focus your energy on, so I can get you to that point where you're evolving and into your next steps so you can make those leaps. All right, but until next time, thank you for being here. I love you so much. And I'll talk to you later. Love and light, y'all. And peace.